Hey everyone, Paul Vojchehoske here, and welcome to the Real Estate Classroom YouTube channel, where my mission is simple. That's to help you pass your real estate exam the first time. I have some exciting news. I have just completed all the updates to the fourth version or the fourth edition of the Real Estate Agent's Bookkeeping Spreadsheet. I know many of you, in fact, 21,544 of you have used previous versions since 2017. This is absolutely a free tool for you to use if you're in the real estate business. If you want the fourth edition, and I think you're going to like a couple of the upgrades that I made, it is free. And I'll show you how to, I'll tell you how to contact me in a minute to get it. But I do have a couple of requests. It is not a requirement to get the spreadsheet. It's only a request. Please, please subscribe to our channel. It helps us grow. Number two is share the link to this video on your social media portals, on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever social media platform you're using. If you have colleagues in your office, please email them a link to this video as well. Not a requirement, just a request. A couple of other housekeeping items I need to address. Number one, this is not compatible with Google Sheets. So if you cut and paste this Excel spreadsheet into Google Sheets, it will not work. I know many of you have been asking for the Google Sheets version. I just haven't done it. I may do it in 2023. I don't know. But right now, it's only in Microsoft Excel. Another recommendation is that you use the most updated version of Microsoft Excel. Depending on your operating system, you may have a few glitches if you're using an older version. If I email it to you, give me a couple of days once you emailed me the request to get back to you. I usually do it within a day or two. However, there's a high probability that when I do email you the sheet, it's going to go into your junk or your spam folder. If you're a Gmail user, it's probably going to go in your promotions tab. So if you haven't seen it after you've sent the request, please check those folders to make sure that it's not there. And certainly if you haven't received it, then drop me another email. All right. Questions that you may have about this spreadsheet. I do get numerous questions from people on how to do this and how to do that. And I will tell you that the video that's coming up here in a minute will answer almost all of those questions. So please watch the video before you email me a question, because I guarantee that 99% of the questions that I get, the answer is in the video. If you've watched the video and you still can't figure out the answer, then certainly give me a shout out, but please watch the video first. Now, how do you get your hands on the latest version? It's simple. I'll leave a link to my contact information down below in the video description section here on this page, and it'll have my contact information, and you can get request the new spreadsheet. All right, that's all I have with the housekeeping items. Let's get on to how to use this new spreadsheet. All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you what changes I made in version 4 of the Real Estate Agent's Bookkeeping Spreadsheet, and then also how it works. For most of you that have already been using this, you're not going to really see any changes functionally. And the changes that I made is I moved the mileage calculator into plain view. On the left-hand side, you see the estimated tax calculator. This is where we're going to sum total all your total income, your gross income, your total expenses to derive it your net income. Then we're going to take your net income, factor in your mileage deduction, and then that will auto-calculate your estimated federal taxes and your estimated state taxes should you live in a state where you have to pay income tax. Now, a couple of things. I'm not a tax accountant, so this is not accounting or financial advice or tax advice or legal advice or any other advice. This is just a spreadsheet to help you track your income expenses. You need to have a discussion with your CPA or your financial person if you have any specific questions on, what's deductible and what's not. So let's say that on January 2nd, 2022, you get your first commission check and it's $5,000. Now, notice right here and right here what happens. That's important. Notice that this number here and this number here are the same. That means your formula calculations are working correctly. So we had our first commission check, and let's say that's 123 Main Street. And it was a deposit. Now, some of you requested this a few years ago that I break down where the income came from. So in this case, this was a buyer side transaction. And there you have it. Right now, based on $5,000 in income and no expenses, you'll notice that our federal estimated taxes that we owe year to date is $1,400 and our estimated state tax owed is $300. All right, so let's say on the 5th of January, you had an expense of $1,000, and that was for We2 marketing, for advertising and marketing. You paid with your credit card, and that is an expense that we're going to put under marketing and advertising. So let's look at what happened here. This cell, and this cell all match. It all says $1,000. And that's what we always want to make sure that these three cells are always the same. All right. Most of the time, as I said, if there is a change or a discrepancy, it happens under the Schedule C expenses. And then we got to track down what it is. But also notice what happened right here. The sum total of this column was posted right here. All right. Now, let's say we had another expense here. On the 25th of January, 2022, we had another expense, and it was $1,500, and that was for Web Builder. So you had a website that's made. You paid with check number 101, and let's go to our right over to the web cost. That's how we're going to categorize that, and that was $1,500. All right, now notice what happened here. Notice that when we posted that, we get these hashtags. This is really simple to correct. Just go up here and double click on your mouse, and it'll auto adjust the width of this column so you can read it. That's a simple fix. But notice that the column, the total of this column was posted right here. All right, now that we have one commission check showing income and two expenses, let's see what our estimated taxes are year to date. Let's go to our estimated tax calculator. We have a total gross income of $5,000. We have a total gross expense of $2,500, which gives us a net income of $2,500. So based on our total income and expenses right now, we have an estimated federal tax that's owed of $700, and we have estimated state tax of $150. All right, so let me show you how the mileage plays into this. Let's go to our mileage calculator there. Let's say that in January that you drove a total of 1,250 miles. All right, so we write that in there. Now let's multiply that 1,250 by the IRS mileage rate. Now, to get the IRS mileage rate, we have to go to the internet and just simply do a Google search that says, and just type in IRS mileage for 2022, and it'll give it to you. And why you have to do that each and every month is periodically the IRS does update these rates. So let's say, for example, that January 2022, the going mileage rate the IRS is giving us is 0.565. That's typically how it's displayed. And notice that it auto-calculated, and we have $706.25 of mileage deductions. Now, notice that it auto-calculated here, but more importantly, notice that it auto-calculated over here in our estimated tax calculator. Notice that it shows $706.25. We always want to make sure that this cell and this cell are always the same. All right, if they're not, then we have an error somewhere. But notice what happened with our estimated federal taxes that's owed. We now owe $502.25 in federal estimated taxes and $107.63 in the state estimated taxes that are owed. All right, so it auto-calculated including our mileage deduction into our overall formula. So let's say that we didn't have any more income and expenses for the first quarter, but we did have mileage. So we added another $500 or 500 miles there. And again, for February, the IRS is still giving us 56.5 cents. Now let's go over to our tax calculator and watch what happens. Just watch what happens under our estimated taxes that's owed when we include February. Notice that our estimated taxes declined not only for federal and state. Now let's go over here to our mileage calculator. Notice that now we have $988.75 in tax deductions for mileage. Now let's go to March. Let's say that we had 100 miles in March that we can write off. And again, we're still at 56.5 cents. Look at your estimated tax calculator, the estimated federal taxes that's owed in state, and notice how that changes. All right, so let's say that we came to the end of the first quarter and now it's time for us to make our payments. Right now, our year-to-date estimated federal and state taxes are $407.33 for federal, and our state is $87.29. Next, I want to show you how calculating or inputting our estimated tax payments work. Now, up on the top part of your screen of this spreadsheet, you're going to notice there are two calculation boxes. One is for federal quarterly estimated payments that we've made, and one is for our state estimated payments. So at the end of the first quarter, according to our calculator, we owe the federal government $407.33, and we owe the state $87.29. So let's make our payment. Now, when we do our adjustment or when we write our checks and we input that into our spreadsheet, I want you to pay attention to these three cells. Notice what happens. So we're going to make our first estimated payment to Uncle Sam, check 102. And we're going to pay $407.33. Why are we paying $407.33? Because look at our estimated federal tax that's owed. Look at that calculation there. That's what we owe. And when we input that payment, look what happens on these three cells. The spreadsheet auto-calculates. And notice what happens. Year to date for estimated federal taxes that's owed, we are now pretty much just zero. So now let's do the same for our state. And again, when we input this data and make our payment, notice what happens with these three cells. So we write check 103 to our state Department of Revenue. We owe $87.29, but let's say we only make an $80 payment. Now again, let's look at what happens with these three cells. They auto-calculate. And notice that the estimated state tax that's owed is now $7.29. So we paid $80. We estimate that we owe $87, but it auto-calculates our payment versus what we still may owe. All of these yellow cells that you see, please do not make any changes to them. They have auto formulas built in, and if you make a change to one, it destroys everything.